A local man received commutation from President Trump before he left office. Corvain Cooper was serving a life sentence after getting a third strike for selling marijuana.
Tell me who wanna run with us. Mobbing back to back in them Bentley trucks. Blowing on that saucy to set me tough. I used to take that package, I would wrap it and send it up. Now I put money on your books until the day that you sentence up. My nigga Corvain said he living.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tons Talk. My name's Anthony Allegretti. I'm the co-founder and chief operations officer of 40 Tons brand, a social impact cannabis brand dedicated to freeing the cannabis prisoners that are locked up over unjust weed sentences and bringing more diversity and inclusion of BIPOC communities, poor communities, and those with past cannabis convictions into the cannabis industry. Today, we have an incredible show for you. We're gonna, get right into it. We have an OG, someone that's been in this game for almost 45, 50 years. I mean, this dude is incredible, man. Army, Green Beret, went to prison in the early 80s, has been growing. Without further ado, welcome Doc Ray.
What's up, brother? Good to see you. You're smiling big. I know, get my ass out of the mountains and come down to out of the freaking mountains up and behind the Redwood Curtain and shit out of Humboldt County and come down. So
I know, man. What's it been like for you, dude? Spending, your first 40 years in the game behind the curtain and now the last 5 years.
Stupid. It's so stupid, bro. I mean, we run in the same circles and shit. So you know how stupid it is right now. So that's, I find it really odd because, we go back just not that long ago. We go to 19 and pre-pandemic, and a lot of us were still considered outlaw and we were still trying to make our way through. And because of that freaking bug, all of a sudden we became essential in all these goddamn states that didn't want us at all. That's really what's happened now. We've seen this shift where outlaw cultivators are now becoming above board and operators in their own states. It's moving where the majority of the country is pro-cannabis, medical and recreational, depending on where you live at. All these things are happening that were just 10 years of even ago was unheard of. That's where it's at right now. It's cool, man.
Speaking of that, what was it like back in the days? You know what I mean? And having to hide, and dealing with, the stigma that cannabis provided.
God, it was brutal. I mean, okay, and a lot of us, like a lot of my generation, the men and women that taught me the game are gone. They're even not even on a lot of them aren't on the earth, and a lot of them are gone. And I've been growing for surprisingly 50 years now. And I smoked my first joint in 70. I guess it's 2023, right? Right. So that's 53 years of smoking the plant. And 72, the year this country made it illegal and would throw you under a prison cell for growing a plant for crying out loud. We'll get into that later on, but for growing a plant was 72. That's the year I fell in love with it, and it progressively became more aggressive over the years. The more the war on drugs ramped up, it became significantly more aggressive in the 80s and 90s. Even the early 2000s, it's still active in this country right now. I mean, that's the truth of it. There's a few pockets in the United States where they still are very aggressive anti-cannabis. Not very many, but there still are brothers and sisters that live there that they are pro-cannabis, but because of a small few, they choose to make it illegal and punish the citizens by imprisoning them over a plant. And our alliance, I did 5 years, but then I'm seeing my brother Corvain here, and that was given a life sentence. It just breaks, and how 40 and how we got aligned, so that's the unjustness of it, is the truth of it. That's really, I don't know if it's gotten better. You guys seem to think it's getting better. I'm still holding out because I see the same story on the House and the Senate back and forth, patting the same ball back and forth, and one blocking it and one letting it go through, and the other ones let it go through, and then they block it again, and we can't get banking and all this other stupid shit, and motherfucker corporations crashed the market and destroyed the craft market. And why I'm sitting here, big boy. Old man was retired. I ain't retired anymore, kids.
You bring up a good point, because in many ways it's gotten better, right? It's gotten better because, we're not going to jail as much, right? We're still doing it. It's more mainstream. Middle America, the soccer moms of the world are now, being more and more accepting of the plant. I want to say something like 60 or 70% of the country has an approval rating. But in a lot of ways, it's gotten worse. Like the way in terms of the market tanking, the shake your hands. I'm sure when you did a deal back in 1976, you probably shook someone's hand, looked them in the eye, and said, "I'm going to do this," and they said, "I'm going to do that," and then it worked. And then now, no one keeps their word. So
at all.
Maybe talk
Rarely.
about that from like some of the
From
positive
a business
things
perspective,
of back then.
the business perspective of how the industry since 215. So we're not talking a real long time here now. So like in the last 7 years, approximately, going on 8 years, we've seen this adult and what the medical community and a lot of the big growers were up north in the triangle where my stomping grounds are at. We're up in the triangle where we are cannabis. We define cannabis. We carried the industry for 100 frippin' years before it was ever hip or cool. We were doing weed, and that's just the truth of it. So you look at it now, kind of what I've got up here now. This is a culmination of the best breeders, in my opinion. The top 1% in the world is up here on this front. I'm in this with a bunch of other great men and women that I can.
Who are some of these brands you're talking about?
Oh my God! I mean, we got Hogwash Farms is up there, which that's Eric Martin and Jill, his partner. They're just so. Humboldt Alchemy Group is what you're seeing here collectively. This is a group of men and women, cultivators and manufacturers that I consider the elite of the elite of the elite at doing what they're doing. I'm a Mendo boy. That's my reputation. I'm a Northern Mendo boy, and I retired to Northern Humboldt thinking 160 miles was far enough to get away from it. It wasn't.
Which is, you got Huckleberry on there too.
Well, yeah, Big John. This is a whole good group of men and women. You got Ridgeline up here and Savage up here. Hogwash is up here. We're missing some, like Canna Country. I didn't have any pre-rolls of Canna Country available to me. Sorry.
What's our buddy up at Savage's name?
Jerry Savage is up.
Yeah.
I got Jerry, and Jerry's the guy that kicks my ass. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
So
You've spoken a lot about him.
I love Jerry. I think Jerry's, very much not only a brother in arms when it comes to fighting for the craft and the industry that he helped form and build with his 48 years of cultivation experience. Long before it was cool or hip, kids, 48 years. Long before cool or hip, me, 51 years. That damn near makes me and him a century between the two of us, and I look at stuff like even my brothers and sisters that are younger than me, they've been doing it since they were a kid. Like we were talking at lunch, like, Sean Stammet, Sohum Royal. Again, sorry, brother, your flower's not up here on this display.
Big shout out, Sohum.
Yeah, Sohum, but serious Sohum Royal, but Sean, is in his late 30s now, getting older, he's getting older, but now he's getting in his late 30s and stuff, but he grew up doing it when he was knee high, and his mama, who's a legend, a cannabis diva, ganja diva in my book, is his mother Pam, who really has taught him the craft and makes the real medicine. Her bath bombs and her RSO are world famous, and his methodology of RSO, which is real medicine, ladies and gentlemen. That's real fucking medicine. We have people that are dying and suffering and pain from cancer. And when you have RSO in your life, it's a lifeline to you. It's used for a lot of other pain controls as well. But that's just to think that it's not real medicine is very hypocritical by medical standards in today's book, in my humble opinion, and 5 decades of doing it. So,
wow, it's incredible, man. You're just a plethora of knowledge. Over the the last 50 years since you've been doing this, what have you seen in terms of the quality of the plant, and have you guys made new strides and been able to pull more of the? We'll wait for the fire engine. That's happens when you're in Inglewood. Shout out my boy Hollywood for letting us utilize the space, the White House here in Inglewood. But we've seen a progression over the last 50 years. When you were doing it in the beginning, there was really only a couple of strains or a couple of ways that they would classify the weed. Now you got 50 million flavors. You got all these different things.
All the hype.
What's the weed been? What's the difference between the weed then and now? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it equal? What would you say?
Oh, I think good and bad has progressed. Okay, what's progressed is, okay, if we just did what Israel did and didn't buy into the bullshit of the whole weeds illegal game, right? They've stayed at forefront of medical research, and they're leading the way, and have in the 70s when the U.S. said, Israel went, fuck you, we're staying on the research, and they have, and they're leading the way now. So if we'd have just stayed there, this is the part that breaks my heart, ladies and gentlemen, If our country's government and a handful of evildoers hadn't impeded this plant's progress in medical science research, how many of our loved ones would still be here? This masses should be up in arms over this with their government officials, all the bureaucracy, all the bullshit that hinders true medical research. Why you guys even know me? My blue skunk that's up here is in the military community. It's with my brothers and sisters only reason why I'm sitting here is because of that.
Fire.
Well, yeah, it's fire, but it's also the therapeutic value of how it helps you balance when you're using it for this therapeutic tool. When you don't want alcohol or opioids or psychotropics or 45 or a fucking prison cell. That's really what kind of not just military. And what I've learned is there's a lot of people that have stressors and have trauma and that are damaged that benefit from that plant. And I've had tens of thousands and thousands of people telling me this now on my blue skunk, that particular pheno that I've isolated, and it's a beautiful plant on its own, but I isolated a pheno about, it's over a decade now. I've been running the same thread for a while. I've been running the same thread because it was helping me. I didn't care about you guys, man. The truth of it is I didn't give a fuck about everybody else. I lived on my mountainside by myself alone because I don't really like fucking people. This is no bullshit, guys. I'm just wearing this shirt for fucking joke. It's a warning to a lot of motherfuckers, okay? When I'm hanging with you and I like you guys, who do you think walks in the door? Are they fucked or are they my friend? And that's okay. Now, you love me and but I'm a cantankerous, nasty, mean bastard that because of Mother Ganja sweet love, that blue skunk genetics makes me the kind old man right now.
Speaking of that, you mentioned the therapeutic and the medicinal values of what you've been growing and building. Can we talk about, how you came to the plant for reasons of your injuries and your things? Like you were in the military, correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
what branch of service were you in?
Old Army. I'm an old Army Green Beret. It's like I'm old school Army Green Beret.
And were you injured in combat?
I got a little bit of body damage. I got a couple of fragment wounds in my legs. I was hit with fragment wounds in my legs. I got a pretty good shrapnel hole in my left leg. Blew up my left shoulder in a night jump one night. Outside of military career, it was a small phase of my life, 8 brutal years, but a very small portion of my life.
Sure.
I've been in 2 severe Harley wrecks.
You got more bumps and bruises other than just the military.
Cut out a car
life.
twice in jaws of life situation, being a little bit outlaw and driving a little too fucking fast, running from them and shit back in the day, that whole thing, so part of it,
So one can say you've had plenty of injuries.
I've got a lot of physical damage, and most importantly, in my military career, I have 2 explosion concussions, blackouts, which is very similar to what happens to professional athletes with their repetitive head damage that goes on. So the 2 concussions from the explosion concussions, and that's getting, if you know what that means, kids, that's getting blown up twice. Don't get blown the fuck up. Okay. That's the truth.
Fair enough.
Right? Okay, don't get blown up. Right. And as well, I got run over one time by a large I'm a combat engineer. I got run over by a large section of a pontoon bridge. It was a great big fucking thing with 100 guys, on each side of this thing with steel on and shit. And I tripped and lost my footing and went under the fucking thing. Ran over me. So that's what ran over me? That's what ran over me. It's like, I don't know, it's pretty long, pretty good size, 25, 30 yards, that kind of thing. Piece when it came out there, a bunch of them standing on the backside, like spit my ass out. Oh, fuck, he's still alive. I get that, oh, fuck, he's still alive more than once,
So one can say you've been injured.
I've been injured physically.
And I'm sure mentally too, but, you've been strong.
It's a whole nother story, yeah.
But physically, and the reason why I'm asking these questions, Doc, is because I want to get to the medicinal side of this. So if one can talk about self-healing, it's you.
That's what it is.
And so you went on this mission to, and you just said you started this pheno 10 years ago. I'm sure you were doing other phenos years ago.
It was actually going back. It was going back in 07. I got it sourced right out of Santa Cruz in fall of 06, right? So I took the mother at 06, and it was real transitional. I wasn't growing weed. I'd walked away in 03. I was underground like a motherfucker, rogue as fuck. I was blowing up great big indoor shit down in the southwest portion of the country, very illegally, and I was having a real crossroads moment with the plant one more time. Am I going to continue to do this and staying the same? I was hearing about people going overseas and, living a completely different lifestyle. I've always envisioned that, and where I am going, as you know, we've had that discussion earlier, but at that moment, as it was kind of going forward, it's either, you kind of pick your path. And you've heard me say this now. I picked my path of what my thread was. My thread is the one on the end there, that blue skunk in that pre-roll form. That was my thread and my focus. It's what saved me, man. It's what.
Can you share a little bit about what it's made from or what it is?
Oh, sure.
What were the mother and father?
Documented. It's pretty well documented now. The plants is a Santa Cruz Blue Dream with a Humboldt number, or not even a Humboldt number one. What is known as now was called the Old Dave back then. But Old Dave is a long gone Emerald Triangle teacher that's passed Dave Cooper from Interior Trinity, Northern Mendoza, where my relationship to Dave was. But I've met buddies that were in Southern Humboldt that learned from Old Dave too, that also has the skunk genetics. So it's basically the Old Dave crossed with the Santa Cruz Blue Dream. Okay,
nice.
So over the years, I smoked it. Okay, why did I use those two? If you've ever smoked the Blue Dream, it's a real cerebral, very up flower. I liked how it made my head awake, and I didn't have bad thoughts. All the shit that I had. I don't drink alcohol. I drank water at lunch. You saw that. I don't drink alcohol. I do, but I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I don't use synthetics. I smoke this plant. I eat it. I drink it. I wear it. All that shit. That's kind of what I do now.
Sure.
So with that particular one, as I was moving with her, I wanted something that cleared my head. And Old Dave's like a freaking double indica damn near, man. Old school Afghani, man, just knock your dick right in the dirt, man. Just like, 20 minutes and Old Dave make your ass take a nap, And I got buddies that smoked Old Dave back in the day, 300 pounds and 6'9", man, 20 minutes later drooling on themselves. It doesn't matter how big you are, Old Dave put your butt to sleep. Well, Old Dave crossed with the Blue Dream, head medicine with pain medicine. I didn't understand it like I understand it now, almost 20 years later, and where I've been with the research, and now I work with the best of the best and all that stuff. That was my first. Put my head medicine together with my pain medicine and create the best thing that I thought worked for me. And from that, I refined it over the last 17-ish years.
Hence, we got Blue Skunk.
It's like building the people that handle me now, it's like, I've been working on this album for decades, and I'm getting ready to release this master work of series of my entire life with this plant. That's kind of what's happening now with how and the people that handle me, that's how it's happening now. And I got a lot of fucking lawyers and doctors and a business manager that she's a pit bull that keeps people off of me. And Deb Burke. That's Deb Burke. If you want my business manager, look for Deb Burke. She's easy to find on LinkedIn, and she says she manages my ass. Okay, so just Deb will.
It's like Dr. Dre's album that we've been waiting on for freaking 20 years.
I guess that's what some of the pod guys are telling me. Men and women are saying, it's a long time coming, and I get it, man. We were unknown legends. We were guys men and women that did it very illegally, and we fought the system in the 70s and 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s. To keep the plant alive. And in what you said earlier, I'm going to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
It's like that plant has refined itself to what you see in the tube now is a metered therapeutic dose for anybody that's having a bad day or having post-traumatic stress. I highly recommend it if you can find it in California. I'm working with other people right now to move it across the country. It's coming from state to state to state as we're moving it across. Talk to partners in Arizona that are on board with the project.
And what's the name of the brand so people out there know?
It's my Veterans Choice Cannabis line. It's got my logo on it, my freaking, this logo on it. It has that on the front of the tube. It's red, white, and blue. Old Glory wrapped around it. What I asked for. It's 2 3/4 gram metered pre-rolls done by Humboldt Alchemy Group, who is the people that's up here on the line up here. This is that one right there, buddy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had these. I've had all of your weed. You won
yeah.
the cup in Vegas, the Secret Cup. You've won a couple of other things, and this is some of the best I've smoked ever. And forgive me for this naivety, but is this considered greenhouse, or is this full sun grown outdoor?
This is going to be actually this is the first real drop of it. And this is a mix of me personally with Savage Farm. So it's light dep with indoor.
Nice.
This first actual release of it. That's going to be like, I'm talking to guys that are large producers in other states that they're indoor operators, they're greenhouse operators. Again, Deb Burke. She's easy to find, DEBBURKE, Deb Burke, and reach out to her.
We'll put the email in the thing.
Yeah. You can find her on my website. Now there's actually a docraygenetics.com now. Who could fucking believe that?
Oh my goodness.
Jesus Christ, man. So yeah, that's all happened right now. Now it's mostly getting the plant into the right hands of the right smart operators in a real difficult time in the country. It's happening everywhere. When California collapsed, it rippled across the other states across the country. Why? Because California reigns supreme. Who reigns supreme? The Emerald Triangle does, kids. Don't kid yourself. We kick everybody's ass. We're the best of the best. We're the top 1%. That's who's up here. There's a few that are missing. I wish they were all up here. But when it used to be 90,000 and on, now there's only about 800 of us. We done, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to getting intruded on our plant that we fought for with blood, sweat, and tears for 5 fucking decades. It affects this community and the market of the legacy operators and the trap operators. We're the guys that fed the pipeline in the 70s.
We produce 514 billion, what was it? Not billion, I'm sorry. 514 tons of weed every single year. We're the largest producers of cannabis in all of the United States.
The United States, and California will reign supreme when it goes into international. What we're trying to do right now with this group of operators, we were all independent players 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even a lot of us didn't interact with each other than in retail spaces. Retail's become brutal to get. I'm good at talking to the other end of the deal. Why? Because I've been doing it longer than everybody else that's still around. Okay, if you've been doing it for 5 decades, please come sit down in the chair with Anthony and have this conversation, because we need the old operators to step up. Because what I'm seeing over and over and over again is there's a lot of young, sort of smart, money people coming from out of state that think that their couple of $100,000 or their couple of million means shit in a game when we're 1%. There's 10 million of you assholes, and there's only one of us each. That's the difference. I've been approached by so many money people that said they could produce money, got letters, proof of funds, 10 million, 5 million, what a load of shit, you know? And it's just, and we can't do it the way we used to do it. Used to, you showed up with a goddamn briefcase with your hundreds and your 20s, and that's how it worked. Okay.
You know, you speak of that, you know.
Oh, it's bullshit, man. Sorry, I'm pissed. And quite honestly, you got a problem with it, come talk to me, kids. Everybody's free to come talk to me about my problems with the way cannabis is being handled right now. We used to make $5,000 a pound for it wholesale. You jackasses pushed it down to $200 fucking dollars. Why didn't you follow our model and not be as good as we were, but come in under us at a higher premium price? You tried to force everybody out. Now you're hemorrhaging millions of goddamn dollars. We're smarter than you. Okay? They're not going to make it. We will. Why? They're at $189 a pound. My operational cost under $130. I'm kicking your fucking ass. Guess what? I got friends and sitting on this table right here make me look like a chump. And that's the truth of it. I got a buddy that grew 600 pounds of fire for $200 fucking dollars. They can't even fathom the guy that took him to the Emerald Cup to an indoor growers event, and he kicked their asses. Called out by the High Times editor and Jimmy Devine. I'll shut the fuck up after that.
You know, speaking of which, you know, education is a big thing in this industry, and we need more of it. It's why, you know, what we do at 40 Tons, at least on like the restorative justice, social justice, career side. But as far as education about the plant, in your opinion, from somebody that's been growing for 50 years, can you tell us what the positives and the negatives and which one out of these three are the best and why? Sun grown full term, light depth, or indoor?
Oh, thanks for that question. That's something that I addressed at Emerald Cup here just a couple of months ago for anybody that was in the back door stuff going on in the VIP in the back and you were around me. I was talking to a lot of smart operators and really professional cannabis people. Like, we need to change the dialogue a little bit. It's the current stacking order is indoor, light dep or mixed light, and then outdoor. And that's a total misnomer that's been sold to people over the last 15 or 20 years because of a not understanding the
Because of a
thing.
look.
Well, and the look is only the mis-selling. That bullshit about purple, dank, and frosty is just a load of shit, you know, and that's what happened here. What clipped me this last year, I'm an indoor guy. I'm a top percent one indoor guy in the world. Okay, I don't even want to go down that fucking rabbit hole, but that's what happened. We had a lot of not qualified indoor operators come into this market, saturate a lot of footprint that had money but no cultivation skills, and then flood what was used to be a high quality market of premium indoor flower with a bunch of mediocre bullshit that's purple and frosty that smokes like goddamn alfalfa. It gives you a fucking headache. That's not what you want. And that's what all my consumers tell me when they smoke any of these up here. This is just a display of some of the brands of what we've been minimized to from what we used to do in a big old glass jar when you would walk into the old 215 shop.
Deli style.
Brother, that's all. The consumer, and I didn't get it until now I'm in the retail end of it because I'm seeing it in its face. They never see it. They never touch it, all that stuff. So there's a complete disassociation. It's almost like what they've done to our food supply, you know, everybody that's kind of hooked into the 99-cent meal, they just stuck in that cycle because there is that whole world that's stuck. They can't afford the grocery store. They can't afford to not feed their families, and they go and goddamn, they think a chicken McNugget is a motherfucking chicken. They don't have a clue that it's got feathers and clucks and shits on the ground and peck stuff, man.
Fair enough. So outdoor, light dep or mixed light, or indoor, and you said that
I want to take it from this and I want to turn it up like this. Who's the best? Who's the best? Who's the best?
Which is?
Of whatever their methodology is.
Oh,
Who's
so it
the
has
best
nothing to do
indoor?
with whether or not it's outdoor.
Why? 'Cause
Light
I
dep.
can take my outdoor guy that's full sun and put it next to my buddies that are good indoor cultivators. And truthfully, his weed didn't proved it over and over again that weekend. It smoked better. You couldn't, if I didn't tell you as a consumer, you couldn't tell the difference. If I set them out on the table and the naked eye, you can't tell, and you can't tell. And all I did was tell you guys that that's outdoor and that's indoor. Most motherfuckers, oh, well, that's better. Now, the truth of it is that outdoor guy that grew it for about 48 cents a pound kicks my $130 right in the butt. Don't it make me like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing? $130 a pound, my methodology, you know?
Right.
Right. And he's at pennies.
So, you know, that's a good point from like an economic point of view. What about from like and I don't want to use the word potency because potency is not the right word, but if we use potency in the terms of like overall value of the plant.
Full spectrum effect.
Full spectrum effect.
That's a better phraseology is full spectrum effect of the plant because that's what it is. Potency is, and we've all seen that.
How high you get.
That
right.
cartoon on the stair steps, potency, and it's at the bottom of the fucking deal.
So full spectrum
effect of the plant.
Effect of the plant.
You know, it's the full effect of the plant. And, you know, the full spectrum effect of the plant is basically more than just the potency of the plant. It's the phraseology is entourage effect. It's the full effect of all of the combinations of everything that it does to terpenes, flavonoids, THCs, cannabinoids, CBDs, whatever CBC, CBN, whatever the hell it is that the consumer is using. It's not even because you're going to be maybe a little different than me. What I've worked on is stabilized, and what all these pretty much are all very stabilized genetics that we've all grown for years and years and years on our own farms that we know are tried and true that are up here in this display right here. That's what those are. What pre-rolls are is, quite honestly, it used to be the entry point. It still is, but it was the cheapest way for a customer to try you, and there was no value in it. Now we've had to reduce our cost to where this is where the profit's at, and it kind of breaks our heart. We'd rather you be able to come, what we hope for is that model where you can come right to the farm. But to go back to your question, instead of outdoor is at the bottom of the food chain. Actually, outdoor is quite honestly at the top of the food chain when it really comes down to it. If you understand the true value of how the plant's whole medicinal value and effect is. What the consumer has been sold is a bill of goods that is a visual sell, not a inhalation, interior edible. You're not taking it internally, you're buying it with your eyes, and they think if it's frosty and purple, it's better, and that's a load of shit. That's a flower that's been manipulated indoors. 90%, the anthocyanins, if you got a little science, okay, that little component of it is what activates when the temperature drops cold. Well, you just turn your room down to 60 fucking degrees at night. What I do, turn my room down to 58 degrees at night when the lights go off. It kicks that into gear, and the purple comes out in it. That's a selective breeding practice that people use a little bit, but a lot of it is just the natural attributes of the plant getting cold when it gets wintertime. That's the truth of it, man.
Right.
That's the real truth of it. Is it's plant's getting cold.
And the purple is what keeps it warm.
Well, I don't know if it necessarily keeps it warm. It's an indication that it's coming towards its end of its life. It's remember Mother Nature outside. Spring, warm, red sun. Sky starts turning to blue. That's the trigger photosynthesis phase of the plant. Switch it to start. Oh, I got to turn to flower at the end of life. That's that whole cycle goes from hot to what? Cold. We're doing that indoors. We're starting with warm red light, moving to a blue light, chill in the room at night. We're mimicking Mother Nature as best as we can indoors. Now, I probably just left like 70% of the indoor guys just went, what the fuck? Because they don't even vaguely do what I do. Why? You're not my goddamn equal. That's why I'm a top 1% motherfucker and you're not. And that's just the truth. Okay? Why, man? We're all good at what we do. I'm a top 1% indoor guy. The guy that kicked everybody's ass was a top 1% outdoor guy. The one I love on the end, Savage, is a top 1% light depth guy. Okay? That's what it is. You look at like hogwashes, full sun grown.
Huckleberry is up there.
Everybody. I mean, again, we got mixed light guys and full sun people. They're all top 1% cultivators. I consider them my brothers and sisters, my equals, my peers, man. Okay? That's how I look at them. The truth of it is like Sean, I defer to Sean on his RSO, man. He's a bad boy, man. If you can find Soham Royal RSO, I highly recommend it if you're looking for it. Request it, ask for it. He's better than everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
Sean, I need some of that RSO. We need some of it for our viewers. Let's actually talk soon because I want to come up there to the farm anyways with Doc and do some really cool filming with you guys because I believe in what you're doing and your mission. And I watch your show that he does too. He's the show that he does. He puts out on YouTube. It's pretty cool.
I truly believe everybody that's left in the game in Mendocino, in Trinity, and in Humboldt that are actual Emerald Triangle purveyors that are actually operating and licensed producers, they're the top of the craft. They're at the going in and
how many
asking,
are left?
Oh my God!
Weren't you saying something like about 90,000? Tell us about that.
Yeah, okay, 215 pre-1996. An estimate of at least 80, but a lot of estimates of north of 90,000. So we'll call it 80,000 unlicensed, illegal producers in Humboldt County alone. This last year, 854. They got me 2 years ago. I talk to people every
854
day. Licensed producers.
So we went from 80,000 down to 854.
They wanted to kill 90% of the market, and the truth of it is they killed over 99% of the craft market in the triangle.
And what does that do to our industry? Like, let the folks know like why that's so important that doesn't happen.
It's over with. If they don't start, well, I can't even ask them. If you haven't been supporting and buying their brands and I know being a smart consumer, you've already helped kill us, then it's over with, quite honestly. What you're seeing now, I'm not cultivating more. I'm the brand. I become the face of the brand. All I wanted to do was grow weed for people. And because why? I'm really good at it. I'm better than 99.99% of the people that grow it. And
so now they're just taking your genetics and doing it on their own, and then now you're kind of the face of the brand kind of thing. It's
what it's turning into. If I'm going to be viable and have a voice in it, do I want to have a voice or not? If I don't want to have a voice, then I stop what I'm doing, and I could do it. I'm disabled, military disabled. I could just fucking walk off and say, screw it. What we were talking about at lunch earlier, 23's it. I've worked too hard. I'm going to be at the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks for the Gridirons golf tournament. Okay. I smoked weed with McMahon a couple of nights ago. You know, a couple pro World Series ring wearing guys here a couple of evenings ago. You know, Major League Sports and DRG are tying together. You're the first guy to hear it. You know, we're tying together right now with what I'm doing with the Revenant guys. I'm really, really humbled and honored to work with those guys. I think they're smart men and women that have kind of paid a real high price to entertain people, you know, is really what it boils down to, paying a high price to entertain people and watch them beat each other and playing a sport kind of like gladiators, you know. And what they love me, you know, I'm an old military war dog. They love the shit out of me because I got holes and scars everywhere and shit. They love that too. So, you know, we have
just the happiest cantankerous guy there is.
Oh,
which is an oxymoron.
You know, I'm pissed off right now. I was a humble farmer 6 years ago. I'm just pissed off.
But you were humbler when I met you on Clubhouse almost 2.5, 3 years ago.
Going on 3 years ago now. Yeah, it's going on 3 years. And like that, when you guys first stumbled into my room, I was real kind and sweet and mellow. You fuckers run it all. Truth, you know. Seriously.
You know that's consumerism and corporate greed.
Consumerism and corporate greed, completely what I got out of it for. Why I moved away and went off in the mountains when I did. Why I walked away from it 20 plus years ago.
Yeah. Why
I walked away again. I just didn't want to be involved. And when I was recovering after that Harley wreck in 09, and I was watching the shit happening on TV. You know, I was recovering and couldn't do anything, so I'm going to have to watch the shit. You know, so I'm watching what's going on and all that's happening. And I'm seeing some of the dumbest fucking things being told to people that don't know that can really hurt you. I still don't, my favorite question, can somebody please show me that underwater curing weed works? Anybody? You know, that idiot put that thing out on YouTube about drying a bud and curing it in water. It's like, I'm still waiting for some fucking person to show me that shit works. That's one of the things that brought me out. It literally was like, what the fuck? Okay, look, seriously, you just spent all year babying your plant in a risky environment because your state's not really cool yet, and you're trying to grow your own medicine, and some jackass tells you to cure your plant in a jar of water, and you follow his fucking advice. Okay? Okay. Whoa, that's when I went, what the fuck? And then I started looking, all the misinformation I was seeing. Idiots putting, again, you worked all season and put your flower in a goddamn herb dehydrator for 72 hours and wonder why it tastes like shit and your throat burns and gives you a headache because you're a dumb motherfucker and used a fucking herb dryer for weed that takes weeks to dry. Okay. Now, here's the truth of it. The commercial won't do what we do. We're low, the triangle, man, we're low and slow. We all have our own approaches, but we do all believe in low temperatures at a constant humidity at around 60% and below 70 degrees. I have my variables that are even tighter than that, but I don't want to get into fucking semantics. But it's a slow process with air movement that takes weeks to accomplish to get it to where it's hand touchable, and then you manipulate it.
So you bring a good point, but you're talking craft cannabis now, right? How do you take craft cannabis and scale?
Well, that's literally what we're doing right now. What we've realized is what I've realized and what I'm breaking all my friends up here hard over this last couple of months, actually, we're talking real time kind of shit here, breaking all their hearts that being a cultivator isn't going to really be an option anymore. To be your brand and embrace your SOP and sell your intellectual property like I've been gearing up for. I saw the assault because I'm a Mendo boy. You know, I saw what they did on GMOs in Mendocino County decades ago, how they just tried to intimidate the community of farmers so bad. Monsanto, those evil bastards, you know, it's like that whole assault on Mendo was just like brutal. I was living it, man. I'm serious, guys. Blacked out Crown Vics with dudes, men in black with fucking sunglasses and on the street corner shit, that kind of shit in our town when the GMO thing happened. We were then, let's go back 20 years ago, they were assaulting people over what's basically a 99-cent wholesale pound price item. 20 years ago when cannabis came, it was north of $2,000. 30 years ago, wholesale was north of $3 to $5, $6 depending on.
And now it's 99 cents.
Well, weed's down to, wholesale flower. I've heard horrific. Okay, well, it's not okay. First off, it's not legal cannabis by cannabis definition, and if it's under $500 or $600, there is no money.
Oh, $99. You mean not 99 cents?
99 cents a pound for frickin' it's like strawberries and canola and all the shit, wheat, all the things that they, Roundup Ready wheat, for example, 99 cent, 49 cent wholesale item.
Gotcha.
Weed for a pound of wheat. A pound of weed back in 1995 was frickin' north of $3,500, $4,000, man. That's how much. Okay, you don't even fathom that because you were a little bitty boy. If I go back to when you were it's like my son, and you guys are the same. You mean before
16,
me, Dad?
Yeah.
You and Chris are the same fucking age. Y'all are grown ass. And again, y'all are grown ass motherfucking man. You got grown kids, right? You've been doing it for 20 plus. Look, I don't tell my son why I fuck with you the way I do. You're a grown ass man. I love you like a brother, and you know that this is a real damn game, man. This ain't no bullshit. This is what it's turned into right now.
So, that brings up a good point, because at the end of the day, this is a new industry, right? And just like any vertical, just like the alcohol industry, just like any industry for that matter, there's an infancy stage and then an adolescent stage, and you're going to go through the trials and tribulations. At the end of all of it, cannabis, just by its very nature, is a craft product. Craft as a whole in anything is not scalable per se. It is, but then you start to become commercial. That's where the crossover becomes. How do you keep the ethics, not just in the business side of it, but like in the actual growing of it, so that you can supply a nation or a world?
Oh, damn, Anthony. I think it's scalable because I'm seeing some, I'll shout out to my buddy in Oklahoma, Brandon Russ, man. He's trying to scale it up and do it ethical, and he's doing a good job of it. Is he the same footprint like a Pacific Dutch group with 1.5 million? No. But
can your big grows, can your big operations like some of those out in Santa Barbara,
I'm finding out
grow
right
ethically
now.
and do things
I think
ethically?
I do. Okay.
And that's not pointed at anyone specifically. I'm just using them because of the amount of space that they have, right?
I think that's where the misnomer's at. I think that's a lot of miscommunication. What he and I are talking about when with the Prop 64, when they lift the canopy cap of more than an acre and you could stack licenses, that's when the travesty happened. Now all of a sudden you've got operators that have acres and acres of canopy but don't have the skills or the tools to navigate it correctly. Now what they reached out to me for, I'm a 99% guy.
So the answer is find your 1%er guys, find your Doc Ray guys to actually scale operations like that. So
I think there's a few of us that can do that.
And right, I use you as an analogy of just that type of individual. So these types of individuals, exactly. You're true to form people, the people that really believe in this
understand the plant on a medium, because they're not huge, but where we were all at, I had 10,000 feet. We got some 20, 30,000 feet operators or a little.
Right. 30,000 is a lot different than 300,000.
Oh, tenfold. And that's exactly the point.
And does it scale in terms of like, is it the same practices that you do at 30,000?
They have to be willing to invest. They have to invest.
Like, is it proportional?
Buddy, you have to invest in it. You have to put it. If you pay poor people to handle your plants, you're going to get a poor quality plant. If you teach them the correct SOP and correct methodology.
Dank Duchess says shit in, shit out.
Well, I troll 1,000%, and that's again what I'm going to go back to the Humboldt Alchemy Group, and my brother Zelig, Kronberg, which is Spring Creek Farms, which is the guy that's the Korean natural farming master that he is, J-Dom master that he took his indoor flower and went into his outdoor flower and went into an indoor competition with me and just spanked him, man. Called out by competitor as soon as.
And
the
that's
jar
because
cracked.
he did what?
Well, he just his approach. He's a 1% outdoor guy. What I was saying, go back to who, not the methodology, but who's the best at what they do. That's where the stacking should be. So when you're looking for my flower, you're looking for my brand on. Oh, right. Well, he's going to be up at the top, but in the same breath, when you're looking for outdoor flower, Zelig's better than 90%, 99% of the indoor guys. He's that good. He's better. And if I don't tell you it's not outdoor flower, you couldn't tell.
Wow.
And that's the truth of it.
Yeah, I think, we have a challenge to solve in this country, worldwide, really, but really figuring out how to scale cannabis, keep the costs down, because we all know that, everything's about
Well,
shareholders.
they've done it. It's wrong.
But
The approach is wrong, man.
And so that's what I want to know, like, or the viewers want to know, like, in your humble opinion, like, what is the proper approach to be able to scale? Because we all want to scale.
They pushed it down too far. And the big operators, and we're talking the big guys in Carpinteria, because I've talked to a lot of them now. There's a bunch of macro.
They pushed the price down so bad.
They did, not just them, the travesty out in the middle in the desert that got pushed down out there with all the indoor guys jumping on it last year. That's what took me down, my indoor market down to the toilet.
Out there in the high desert?
The desert guys, coming in growing desert wheat. And again, I walk into the room and they pull their best out. I pull my, not best out because I don't get to smoke my best. It goes in the jar, but it's pretty fucking good, as you know, right? And I put
He only smokes his half best, not his real best. You guys get
man.
that.
I don't smoke the top 3%. The top 3% goes into my private label stuff. It's
nice.
like, but
so
I do
you
smoke,
pull that out.
I do smoke superior quality flower. My A minus and B bud whips most people's asses. Why? Because I hold the weight on the plant. When everybody loses all their weight when they're drying it, that's where we kick your ass. And then we kick your ass on full effect and full terpene profile.
So you're comparing the desert weed, and they did that out there last year.
Dry and dusty, and mine's full, flavorful, and lush.
See, now some of them desert boys, will disagree with that and maybe say,
please. I've heard it from too many of them. Their weed turns to dust, man, in a matter of hours. I bring stuff in that's months cured.
Even though it's indoor, desert technically doesn't. And from my understanding, I thought the
not
desert
doing it right. I mean, I beg to differ.
And would you agree or disagree
I'm
that
always down to take a throwdown the old school way, blind test,
a Pepsi taste test challenge?
You know it.
Would you agree or disagree that though growing in the desert, climate wise, for indoors, some of the is good because then you don't have all of the bugs and all the different things that happen outside of your environment, because you have this like controlled little micro environment that's growing in the middle of, let's say the mountains. So all the bugs, all the life forms are going to want to attach to that. In the desert, you don't have that.
Pretty nasty indoor grows in the desert that had bugs and shit on the ground, and they're working the soil indoors, and you see yellow traps on the wall full of gnats and shit. That's a misnomer, sir. And again, a misstatement and a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I guess that's called bullshit information. Now, I'm not saying everybody, because like my boys over in Sac, but that's not high desert, that's Sacramento. We're talking farther south. A lot of those ones in the high desert that jumped in the game in the last 3 years or are growing with dirt indoors, they got shitty, nasty practices, the bulk of them. And I'll say 9 out of 10. I'm not saying there's not 1%, the 10% that are trying to do it ethically, but I've talked to a lot of them couldn't hit their ass with a funnel, and that's the truth of it. I've given master classes, as my team says, to their dumbness because they didn't understand power structure and lighting. They didn't understand humidity control. Had no pest management skills. We're pest management's natural masters, sir, as you know. We're the best at the fucking shit. And that's the truth of it. And you talk about outdoor flower.
And when you say we, you mean the triangle.
I'm talking the Emerald Triangle. Everybody else is playing at it. We've been doing it real deal. We went to prison over this shit. We lost our families. We lost our kids. We lost our homes. We've had our personal belongings strode all over our home and all of our personal possessions taken. And how'd you like it, boys, to have your old lady's panty and bra jar gone through by a bunch of jackass motherfuckers and spread her shit all over your house? Would it piss you off a little bit, gentlemen?
Oh, yeah.
You're nodding. Would it piss you off? Okay.
Sure. We remember, driving up there in the early days, 20 plus years ago, picking up from you guys, and we were selling your weed at, on the street. We were the Uber before Uber, the legacy sellers, and so that's why we have so much respect for the legacy grower.
Why we love you guys, man, because you came, you brought your money, you did business, you went the fuck away and didn't bring any heat on us.
Yeah.
And then we have to start letting people play in our world. Quite honestly, we would have developed a great relationship. I'd expect to see you every 3 weeks or whatever, every 2 weeks, whatever your cycle was, once a month. We didn't even have to talk.
Meet in Sonoma.
Bro, yeah, you didn't even have to talk.
We'll come up to Sonoma, you come down.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't need to talk, man. I'll see you next Thursday. All right, we already knew what the fuck we were doing.
I'll never forget, I went out there years ago, and I went way out there in the sticks too, like where you were talking about, 2-3 hours inland, you know what I mean? And it looked like, this is just what I'm going to say, it looked like Pac-Man, the video game, just took a bite out of all these trees, right? And then they made their own little area where they were growing and doing it. And I was like, this is incredible. Like the only way you would get caught is by aerial. Like only a helicopter would be able to catch this because you ain't going out there. There's nobody driving by. There's none of that shit's happening. I mean, these are real
that was my
outlaw
last
war dog.
That was the
growing
Green
style.
Mountain Range. When we got this is 90s, early 90s.
Yep, I was for me late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that was the time period.
And so I remember just coming out there, but just good, humble people, just good spirited.
They've killed it all, and that's part of why my friends and what I did at Emerald Cup was I raised a lot of them up. I said, look, man, I know we're humble farmers, and I was that, as you said. You've seen me become more. And you also heard me, you go back and look at it, I warned people for 3 fucking years too. Look, I'm a kind, sweet old man. Y'all don't really know me. You only know a small fraction of my life. When I was a young man in my 20s, though, I was a motherfucking killing machine. And I spent a long time putting that evil son of a bitch away in the mountains of Mendocino.
And Mother Ganja.
And, well, Mother Ganja's sweet grace and love.
Oh, that's our next guest, but we could tell him to wait for a second. But go ahead, you want to go get him? So Mother Ganja came in after, you were this harsh individual, you had a license to kill. Bro. Man, you had a license to kill for 8 years.
I did for 8 years, and then immediately after 8 years of that, I went right into prison, man. And I was a pretty nice guy pre that. I learned, as I went to prison and learned how to become a criminal, And I didn't change what I did. I went underground, and I became a master of the indoor world. And that's where I worked at it. I was an unknown variable until a Harley wreck.
A mythical legend, Doc Ray.
Well, it wasn't even that, man. Nobody even knew the fucking Ray part. The Doc got stuck on because of the Harley wreck, man. So anyway.
Right. Tell us about that. How did you get the name Doc?
It goes back to my military time period,
Would you care to share?
Well, I'm a what they would call a field training and combat medic. There aren't many of us. They don't do that anymore. So that's that portion of my life that I was a combat engineer, field trained medic that worked in a unit as a medic and as a thank you very much. Did that portion of it.
I'll take one too.
Anyway, that's where it's got on me. And then after my Harley wreck, the wife number 2, there's 3 exes, but wife number 2, after my wreck, she just called me Doc because it was easier and it kind of stuck, that's the truth. I was like,
you're a doctor of plants, that's for damn sure.
Well, that's what they say.
Did you ever have any formal education in botany?
No, not at all. Okay, I guess if you call high school botany, right?
High school botany is as far as your education is gone?
On plants and stuff. Now I'm all self-taught, it's kind of funny because I'm in books and shit now and recording and stuff but it's all self-taught. And what I've been told is my ability to pick up the nuances in the terpene profiles from genetic to genetic can't be taught. It has to be a natural felt skill, and I have that skill. And only because I've done it 5 times now.
It's hilarious. I always, when we talk about just leadership and business and how education plays a role in our ascension in success. And I always say, it's not about the degrees or the, how many books you've read, because the guy that has a PhD in war strategy ain't shit compared to the guy that ain't got no education in war strategy, but has been to fucking war for 20 years and has fought in 50 battles. I'd rather be with that guy than the PhD in war strategy.
They usually tuck tail and run, in my experience. A lot of them do, and it's like kind of where this thing is with me coming above board, man. It's like now all of a sudden we're in a real tricky time right now because we have a lot of smart cultivators that don't have any business skills, and we got a lot of businesses in the cannabis space that don't understand cannabis more than the man in the moon. They don't have a clue what they're fucking doing, They're just now starting to get a few of them that have a little bit of a glimpse of it. And again, I've got a lot of friends that are in the space that are corporate weed now, and I have a lot of respect for them, but they have a tendency to defer to me when it comes to the plant when we're talking now, and that's all it really is. I don't tell them how to do a spreadsheet or navigate the boardroom, man. And that's just what it boils down to.
But that's what makes you relevant, and it's what makes you different, and it's what makes you valuable. And I know a lot of people don't respect that at the moment, but like you said, and you were speaking about a lot of these guys up here and girls, is that that's what keeps you longevity, is that. And yes, you're going to deal with the tumultuous up and down of all this shit, but just stay true to that, Doc, because what they can never take away from you is this big boy. I'm going to use your words, big boy, because I like when you say that. But they, like, this right here is gold of yours, and like you're a last of a dying breed. They don't make them like you no more. First of all, there's not many people your age in this game. It's not even a matter of if you want to be like you got to put 50 years into this shit.
I started when I was a kid.
I
started when I was a teenager.
I'm
like
20
a lot
years
of
in.
people started getting into it. I smoked my first joint at 14. In the summer I turned 16. I didn't cultivate, but I started growing the first time. Was a helper to a buddy of mine's big brother that had come back from Nam a couple of seasons earlier.
Sure.
That's how I got into it in the time period and what. That's when I fell in love with growing the plant. Okay, that's why I put that date on it. Okay, now over the years, even in my military career, we had closet grows and shit like that going on. I was always growing the plant. And then you go to when 215 changed.
1996.
96. Okay, spring of 97. It's spring of 97.
I graduated high school.
Some buddies of mine, 96.
So did Corvain.
Right. Okay. So young, but they were older than you guys they were all in their mid to late 20s, right? They all went and got cards. None of them got any trouble. I went that fall and got my first legal right recommendation to grow weed, but that was 97. And from that point forward, it's been more of I'm going to grow cannabis and ramp it up kind of approach. Even when I was a little bit of time that I wore suits and ties and shit like that for brief periods of time that I interacted with society moving through it, I always supported what was going on in Mendo. I always was moving pounds back and forth to Mendocino. Why? Because it's fucking Mendocino, man. And
I love Mendocino.
We write songs about Mendocino County,
But even the city of Mendocino is just gorgeous.
Out on the coast, that's not real weed though. That's the little town of Mendocino. I'm talking about the county. You go in the valley like where I was up at, go where Spy Rock, Bell Springs. You get up in that area, Interior Covelo.
You grow the weed there. You go to the coast to smoke it.
Go smoke it and hang out and get a massage and sit in a hot tub and listen to the seals and shit. Yeah, now inland. But not really in the town so much. Yeah,
sure.
And I haven't been in that town in a long time. So.
I'm just going to take a quick break to give thanks to our sponsors. Give thanks to those that have helped us here. Thank you, Purple Banter, for helping to produce everything. LJ, Katya, and the whole team over there. Always got to give love to Hemper. Hemper is one of the largest cannabis and other smoking accessory e-commerce brands in the business. They do cones, they do packaging, they do pretty much everything that you can think of when it comes to manufacturing cannabis products, and also bongs and keepers and everything. And so want to give a big shout out to Hemper, and then just some of the people that we work with. We work with Sunset Connect up in the Bay Area. They're a San Francisco-based equity manufacturer. We work with Herbal as our distributor, and we work with a lot of different legacy farms, and as much as we possibly can, we try to put legacy flower inside of our packaging. Big shout out to all the other people who help us, like Rooted in Good, which is Curaleaf's initiative to bring more restorative justice and social justice to the industry. So thank you to them. And big thank you to also UCS Advisors, Dave Kunick. He's helping us raise and get our company to the point where we actually have a real investment opportunity for folks. And then everybody else that's just been kind of along for the journey, man. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. Thank you to, we always got to thank former President Trump for signing that paper to allow Corvain Cooper to go free. No matter what you may feel about him or his presidency as an individual act, we have to always honor that and be thankful for that, and we are. And so, yes, now back to a regular scheduled programming. I think that was one of the longest commercials,
good,
but
man.
you know, we got a lot of supporters, Doc, and
Oh, buddy, I love it, man. I'm glad that there's supporters. Honestly, it's a new, and that's what I love about this. Honestly, Anthony, I thought I was going to be dead. All the information was going to go to the grave with me, and it would just go away, you know, and she would move on. And the truth is she's going to move on. And I'm referring to Mother Ganja. Mother's going to move on long after I'm gone, long after you're gone. She's still going to be here, and she was here eons ago and was here, you know, recorded 10,000 years ago. It's like a minimum of 10,000 years of recorded history of the plant's use, and DNA picked up on altars that are, 6,000, come on, man.
And you say that to say
90 years of demonization of the plant by a handful of few people that are no longer even on this planet anymore. That was all based on lies. All the legislation was based on lies. All the laws were based on lies. The doctors want access. The smart ones know that mother's a real cure for a lot of things. It's time for the federal, what I told you, man, vote them the fuck out. You either do what we're trying to do, you know.
well, we got to vote the right people in that believe in her,
vote the right in,
and want to
support
see
the
her
ones that
progress.
are there, really truthfully they're fighting the good fight. Show them more support. Listen to them, who we should be looking at that are really, two-faced, saying one thing and doing something else. That's the truth of it, and it breaks my heart. Like I said earlier, it breaks my heart to think of if we just stayed up on the medical research, how many of our loved ones would still be here, man? Because this plant's curing stuff. It's curing things, guys. Curing stuff. Man.
This is not the chapter in Mother Ganja's life where we have her in complete abundance yet, but this generation of the last 20 years, so let's even say since 96, is the first part of the transition to maybe 40, 50 years from now when we're long gone, where we have that abundance of what you're talking about. And the medical research is opened up. And yes, we have to go through the bullshit of corporatism and all that. That's like any industry. But we're going through that stage right now so that our grandkids won't have to do that. And that is pretty, impressive to me. And it's why we fight this fight, is so that our people down the line can have
you, because when I'm gone, I don't want to be doing this 5 years from now, quite honestly. I don't want to be 70 and still doing this, but I'm thinking if I piss enough of you young men and women off to get y'all riled up enough where y'all will pick it up and go, I have had enough of this shit. Why? Because we've used this plant longer than you guys have. And what we were saying in the car going to lunch, why are the criminals more ethical about it, when it comes to doing a business? Like you said, we used to shake hands and you'd look at me and I look at you and I said, how much you want? You told me, and we said, all right. And you showed up, we did business, and business
because you could have gotten killed.
Well,
so when getting killed is your metric of standard on how you behave, you tend to ask permission, say please, say thank you. You move in different directions. You say what you're going to do. You do all of those things because, the result could be a whole lot worse than just some, piece of paper that was filed against you and now you're getting sued, right?
Oh, so then they just file bankruptcy and keep the money and move. It's such bullshit.
It's such bullshit. And I've been through that in other verticals, and it's just learning that side of the side of the coin. But you know what? I'll tell you what, man, the last 24 years, 25 years, I've been an entrepreneur. I eat what I kill. And so I've learned how to be a precision hunter, so now when the terrain is a lot, easier and I got access to all these types of tool brushes and paint brushes, I can now paint. And now I can get the actual physical paint from guys like you because the paint is so good and so pure. And now I know how to use the paintbrush, and I could go and become a Picasso. And I use that as an analogy, like all the business side of this. So
Well, that's what my vision with you was to create. That's what we started.
and we're going to do it.
Well, I
We
get it.
have genetics
We
coming.
worked our asses off
I
for
need canopy.
three fucking years to get to this scale right
We
now.
had to get here,
dude. If we hadn't fought, we wouldn't be here anymore. And again, that's the truth out of it. You and I,
Yeah.
when we first met almost 3 years ago, if we weren't still fighting for this, I could have easily given up. You could have given up. We're
Sure.
still fighting. We're trying to stay viable in the game. I look at this moment really important
Yeah.
for.
I remember a lot of people on Clubhouse aren't here no more. And they were just there doing a lot of talking. And you had a lot of great organizations still fighting that good fight. You got Freedom Grow and Life for Pot and Buried Alive and, Marijuana Matters and Minorities for Medical Marijuana. I mean, there's just so many organizations out there that are doing the work. LPP, there's a lot. And those are the organizations that are fighting on like the restorative justice side. But then you got like Sweet Leaf Joe Collective and Dear Cannabis on the compassion side. And then you got all the military guys and doing all the military work. And it's that part of this industry that is what's keeping us
It's the best
at the
part
forefront.
of it.
It's the advocacy side, and whether it's on the plant side, it's on the restorative justice side, or it's on the access to business side, we all work together,
Right.
and we're all trying to free the guys. No one should be locked up over a plant.
Over a plant. This is hypocrisy at its finest. It's one of the worst forms, honestly, because you think about it now, as we know, 7 out of 10, man. So that means all them lawyers and all them friggin' judges and all them fucking politicians sitting in all them highbrow positions, they smoke weed too, kids. Don't kid yourself. And that's the truth.
Or they at least consume it in other ways, like tinctures and balms.
Well, so there's so many ways now, but yeah, there's a lot of them using it to get high. Don't kid yourself. That's the truth. Okay. It happens over and over and over. Why? How do I know that? I'm from the fucking Emerald Triangle, man. They always came to our neighborhood to search us out. That's the truth of it. I know you keep looking at that.
No, I love what you're talking about right now. What are you smoking on? What's the best? What like, and not just literally right now, but
kicked everybody's
at home.
ass
What are you
the
smoking
one in
on?
the Emerald Cup that Zelig took everybody and whipped their butt with that Black Apple Kush right there. But
You're taking that to the Emerald Cup,
or
or did you already?
I told them if they wanted to enter it, they could enter it. I don't care about the trophy, but in the competitions and the behind the scenes stuff where I'm with my peers and I'm with the people that I consider the cultivators and the breeders that in the little private thing that we're doing at that event, when it gets called out by the High Times editor and Jimmy Devine personally and Capetta sitting on stage, and then everybody that
Shout out John.
Yeah, Capetta, when they cracked the jar and the idiot opening the jar, he didn't know what he was doing. He's trying to tell me, can I introduce you? And, you understand that the dude sitting on the stage, he doesn't know I'm in the room, but he knows me, right? And Devine didn't know me, but he knows who I am, right? He hadn't really met me, but Devine knows who the fuck I am.
It was an accident, I'm sure.
It was some funny fucking shit, man. But yeah, that's the Black Apple Kush is what I'm smoking on now.
Okay. And out of all your lines, you got Black Apple Kush, you got Orange Cream, and then you got DRG5.
The number 5 is work in progress still going on right now. The Orange Cream Frost, which is a true orange cream queen crossed with a razzleberry male, double purple male.
Just a razzleberry. Who wants I want a razzleberry piece of candy. You know what I mean? Like, you remember those gum? Remember those candies that were like candies and gum at the same time? I forget what they were called, but like if you had one that was razzleberry, it's like that's just super sweet, really good.
She's actually the.
I want my weed razzleberry.
Yeah, she's the cornerstone plant for the triangle as well. It's like a Humboldt razzleberry Kush is again an interior. Humboldt County created genetics. That's where the plant up in Burnt Ranch, where this specific chemovar came from. That was where I got my seed line from years ago, but that's where that plant line came from. And
gotcha.
I was sourced a orange cream female queen years ago, and it's super, super sweet. Very, very citrusy forward. It's long story short, that's a real sativa plant. Another crossing a sativa with an indica, true 1-to-1, slamming them together and picking one out of it. And then the pheno that's sourced out of here is very, very citrus, as smokes like an orange Julius is the best way I can describe it. It's real smoky, orangey flavor that people love, the effects and the flavor of the plant. This one's a real fruity osamine forward. The black apple kush. What makes it unique is it's osamine or osamine, depending, tomato, where
Sure.
you're from, right? But osamine forward genetics that's very floral. It has the appley, fruity, which is a dominant flavor or terpene in basil, quite honestly. So that's what the fruit floral flavor comes from. That a lot of smokers that don't want to smoke earthy, dank fuel, which is predominantly, surprisingly, is going to piss a lot of 28 to 38-year-old white guys off, but that's what a lot of them like to smoke, is that fuel couch lock shit. Most women and most Monday through Friday business people that I know like to smoke the genetics that I've created over because of my head damage that are more sativa forward than indica forward. That's the biggest difference, putting it in its
I find that
lowest
OGs, people that have been in the game a long time, tend to smoke sativas a lot and enjoy sativas.
If you're going to work or lay on the couch, what do you want to do? That's where the lazy stoner thing came from.
Right,
And what
indica
I know-
couch.
Yeah, well, yeah, couch lock, man. But that's an indica forward genetics, mostly because it's so, that CBN, man, it's so CBN heavy, man. That's that shit that puts your ass to sleep. It's like the razzleberry. That's funny. Razzleberry wouldn't sell in the market because it's like 15 to 17 THC, but it's also the equal amount CBN, man. And it's like you're 6'10", man, 450 pounds, drooling in 20 minutes, man. Dude, what'd you give me? You smoked that 15% THC. What? 15? Nah, man. Yeah, she's 16.3 the last time. They're like, what the
That's
fuck,
funny.
man?
I gotta get you with my guy Greg. Have you ever met Greg? Thank you for toking. He does the art with the weed.
I think indirectly in conversations.
He's
and
up in the
stuff.
triangle.
Okay.
He loves just triangle culture.
Right.
And he moved to the triangle, some years back. He's from Florida, but he's a straight hippie, really in tune with the plant. And I want to connect him with you because all the things you're talking about, he always talks about.
Where's he at?
He lives in his, he has a full on van, but not like he's homeless. Like it's a nice tricked out.
Okay,
yeah, and he's all over the triangle. I forget exactly where, but I'll connect you where. He's in different places, but he always talks about, sun grown full term and all the different things you're talking about. So I want to connect you with him. But, well, that's good. Before we get up out of here, we're about at an hour. Tell the people that are watching what is on the next 6 months. What should we look out for? Where we can support, how we can find you, and what you got going on.
If you want to support what's going on for me with what's going on, support the Humboldt Alchemy Group directly. Any of the vendors up in here are the purveyors up here, creators of the flower. Who they are that's them in a tube, quite honestly. If you're able to find it in jarred flower, support those lines. The people that support me, the Pharmacy Pottery family, Element 7 chain, they support what I do. Got a couple of
shout out my guy Rob Minted Key over at Element 7. He's over in Fireball and a few other places, but that's my guy.
We're still working on it.
Him and Jada Paul.
Some kinks in the hitch on that portion of it, but I'm hoping to be able to get that done this year with them as well.
Good.
Maybe this will motivate them to do that.
Yeah.
It's a veterans group that came after me as a veteran to cultivate, and then they kind of dropped the ball on the thing. To be real honest, I'm trying to cultivate the relationship and bring it back around right now because I believe in what I do with my plant for the medicinal points.
I'm going to be at Green Street tomorrow, which you heard of Green Street, right? In downtown. It's like a 7-story office building, but it's all weed. It's like a weed workplace. It's really dope. It's really, really dope. I want to take some of your weed over there because there's a couple guys over there that are heavy in the veterans and helping with the veterans, and I want to connect you with those guys, and I want them to smoke your shit and try it. Like
they don't need to smoke my weed. They can contact me directly. My weed smokes for it's. I just proof positive. I need some other jackasses that are getting.
You hear that? You don't. I meant. You know what?
Straight
I meant it.
Up.
Yeah, but I want them to try your
Deb
shit.
Burke if they want to contact me. I've already worked with a lot of people that are in my wheelhouse. I don't need somebody to come rolling into my wheelhouse that thinks they know what they're doing. If they don't know me in California as I am that California veteran cannabis brothers and sisters. That's who is.
I am him.
I am him.
I know you
fucking know that. So if they think they're got in the veteran space in California and I don't already know
You
them,
probably know him.
well, there you go then.
Yeah.
Okay? And they already know who the fuck I am. And that is the truth. Okay. I'm done with that shit, youngster.
Yeah.
I'm done with it, boys and girls. The
Yeah.
buck stops here, kids. You're going to jump into my world. You better be ready because it's the real deal here on out, kids. I came in as a kind, sweet old man. You motherfuckers killed him. Well, guess what, kids? I used to be a mean, nasty bastard. And that mean, nasty bastard came back after I went to the goddamn hospital one more fucking time.
You hear that, folks?
You hear me?
When you put some respect on his name.
You disrespected my fucking ass. Step into my world, kids. I dare you.
You hear that? That's Doc Ray talking to you guys. That's 50 fucking years of working. That's 50 years of being
Fucking
in this
done.
game. That's getting fucking ran over. That's been fucking shot. That's been
Stole from.
Fucking
Took
not
my
done
canopy.
right.
Assholes come as my friends. Steal my canopy 2 years ago. It forces,
That broke my heart when you called me and
forced
told
this
me that.
path, though, for me to be a brand. And unfortunately, now I've navigated being a brand and moving it forward.
Yeah.
And I got a little sway now, kids. Come on. You really want to play with me now?
So I say all that. We say all that to say, not to complain, but to, tell the stories because you're dealing
Sorry,
with people.
Man, but I'm done, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm fucking done, man.
pull the mic
It's
back.
like it's bullshit.
The mic back.
I'm sorry, Anthony, but
No,
I'm
you
so
don't apologize to me.
disappointed in how this thing has come out from Mother, man.
Yeah.
It's like she's been insulted and offended. You've trampled on the community that created her and built it. We created a very viable, profitable, comfortable business that generated thousands of dollars a pound wholesale, and you idiots drove it down to $300 fucking dollars. And now the big boys are hemorrhaging millions and millions trying to figure out what to do, and they're coming to me and asking when my SOP is 30% less than yours is.
Sure, I'd be happy to tell you that.
That's
Write the
part.
check.
That's exactly. Write some checks. I've asked a lot of big multi-million-dollar purveyors that have got a lot of square can't write a check for 30 grand. Really?
They're hemorrhaging.
Brother, millions. Guess what? At least we ain't hemorrhaging millions. We've just dialed it down, got leaner and meaner. Our costing, packaging costs. Our flour's better than yours.
Nimbility.
And I'm not saying everybody. There's great purveyors all over the world and all over the country. Great mom and pops that have been pushed out. The mom and pops loved it. The crafts what brought it here. We created the flavor profiles, everything that was done. I retired. I gotten out of the game. What we were talking earlier, the stupid shit that I was seeing online when I was coming from my Harley wreck about mom.
Well, I'll tell you what. The best way to cure weed in this industry and in today's times, I hope you know this, but it's to do it underwater. So if you actually dry your weed underwater, that's the best way to do it, Doc. You do understand that, right?
Oh my God, I'm gonna so come over there and strangle you right now. No, but seriously, okay, that's
Point
what I'm
made.
talking about. I'm putting.
You got to
weed-
joke about it
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
if you
so
don't,
stupid.
But that's why I got involved in it. It's why I came out. I said, no, wait a minute, drying underwater and putting it in a dehydrator for 70. What?
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this? I've been growing weed for 3 years. Whoa. How many people? You got 2.5 million people following you online, and you're telling them to put it in a dehydrator? Oh, come on.
Well, you know what? This is where, legacy farmers, legacy growers, legacy
Please
geneticists
support
have
legacy.
to come out like
Please,
you
and
are,
stand
have these
up.
conversations. Please tell your
Stand
friends
up.
to come and get on Tons Talk. Talk to any one of us, me, Corvain, L'Oreal. We'd be honored to talk to you guys. We want to learn. That's the great thing about learning is like if you come to the table understanding that you don't know what you don't know, but you're here to learn, guys and girls like yourselves are willing to teach if we're willing to truly listen.
Oh, brother, that's what we're doing. And like I said, I'm in you guys' world. I defer to you guys when I come in here. You tell me smoke weed and be who I am. I'm smoking weed and being who I am.
Straight up.
Now, what I am is a hurt, broken-hearted, pissed-off old man that lived by himself for a long time alone because nobody wanted to be around me because I'm a mean, nasty bastard most of the time. Even my grown kids will tell you, man, he's a real asshole when he wants to be. And it's like, I don't really like that guy. I buried him and found a calmer, kinder person that you engaged 3 years ago because all my people around me said, you have to engage this to move it out at all. And then I was assaulted for 3 fucking years.
Yeah. Well, Doc, I really appreciate you coming all the way down from the Emerald Triangle down to Inglewood, California at the White House to be here with me with Tons Talk. This is season 1. We're super happy about it. Thank you for coming, brother. Much love, much respect. And before we get out of here, where can they find you? What's the website? What's the Instagram? Let the folks know.
Oh, Google me, DOC-RAY, and if you hit G, it should pop up genetics. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with Google on your laptop, but usually that's the easiest way. Instagram's real hard to find me. They hate me. I'm double shadow banned according to what
All
they
of us
say.
are.
You can find my website at www.docraygenetics, just like it says, DOCRAYGENETICS.com.
Okay.
You can find me there. The easiest way to find me personally is on my LinkedIn page, which it says Doc Ray. It's easy to find me on LinkedIn, pretty easy to find me there. They're very pro-cannabis. Thank you, LinkedIn, for being open-minded about all industries.
Sure.
Thank you for being pro-industry in general. Thank you, LinkedIn, for giving me a platform and a presence I make a lot of my business connections. Deb Burke on LinkedIn.
We love LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a phenomenal platform. It's a great way to, get your brand, get yourself, and do it in a professional manner. So thank you, LinkedIn.
Yeah, that perspective. But for business, Deb Burke, again, DEBBURKE, Deb Burke on LinkedIn. It says right on there that she's my brand and business manager. Yes, she is my brand and business manager, and she hits me about right here. She's a little bitty thing at 5 foot tall, but I really appreciate her. What I didn't need, sir, was I didn't need some other weed person in my life to help me figure out how to run my business correctly. I needed a corporate business person to help me do that. And that's who she is. And when she's speaking for me, kids, she's speaking for me. You better show her the same damn respect, because if you disrespect her, I'm going to come back and slap the crap out of you and make you apologize to her. And I promise you I will do that, gentlemen. Any man disrespects Deb Burke when she's speaking for me will get backhanded. You'll get this SF print left on your face, I promise you. She's a little bitty thing. You better respect her, boys, because the big boy will come in and slap the crap out of you when she's speaking for me.
Well, you heard that first here on Tons Talk. Thank you, Doc. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you, Hemper. Thank you, Oaksterdam University, for the scholarships that you give to us. Thank you, Brand Resumes. Thank you, Sunset Connect. Thank you, Herbal. Thank you, Rooted in Good. Thank you, Media Gel. Thank you, Hemper. I think I said them already, but thank you so many of the brands and the businesses that have support us. Without you, we wouldn't have no us. Thank you, Corvain, for doing the life sentence. Thank you, L'Oreal, for holding us down and dealing with my shit for 24 years. And thank you, to my children who look up to me and keep me doing what I do today. And so I just want to thank all those people that have been involved with the success of 40 Tons.
I want to personally tell you that what I sent you at Thanksgiving, man. You're one of the guys that actually keeps up with my ass, and it's why I sit down with you. I don't sit down with a lot of people. People get to listen to me talk and shit when they catch me at events and stuff, but to sit down and do interviews like this, I trust you well enough to put the message out correctly.
And I appreciate that, Doc. Thank you so much, man. We do our best to hopefully, paint the picture of what it is that you're speaking about. And so, love, respect from the north side of California to the south side of California.
Absolutely, sir.
We changed the world, California, and so we appreciate the people that came before us. We must always honor those that came before us. And even though our own individual velocities will take us wherever we're going, we can never forget the people that came into our lives that changed the trajectory.
Absolutely.
So love, respect, Doc Ray, man, let's get it, brother.
Oh, dude. The truth of it is I want to get it done over the next couple of years. Y'all can come find me overseas somewhere. I'll be in the beach somewhere chill.
I'll see you in Spain.
Oh, absolutely. You know where basically to look for me at, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That's another episode of Tons Talk, and we will see you at the next one. Make sure you follow us at 40 Tons Brand on all platforms. You can find us online at 40tons.co, as well as cannabishiringfairs.com is for all of our career conferences. The next career conference will be in New York City in the late spring. So make sure you check that out. And let's leave you with this. Nobody should be in prison for the plant. If we're going to be making billions of dollars a year on this plant, then don't you think it's time for us to free all the prisoners that are locked up over this plant? If you agree, please like, subscribe, and follow us. Much love, much respect. Peace.
My nigga Covain said he living life after life. All the homies on the bunks that was talking night after night.